is not quite the end of the year, but it is time to do the end of the year tag. This tag was created by the famous Ariel Bissett, and it's called the end of the year tag, but it's a tag for the third quarter. It's a tag for the end of the year, not one that you do at the end of the year. There are a lot of quarterly tags like this. The one that I do at the end of the year is the postscript tag, so that kind of wraps up your reading for the year, and then I do the New Year's tag, which kind of starts your reading off for the new year. I do the quarter year tag, which talks about the first quarter. I do the mid-year tag, which talks about your mid-year. The end of the year tag now about 3 months out from the end of the year. It's a little earlier than I normally do this. I normally do this tag right in the beginning of October, but it is the end of September currently. This tag only has a few questions, and the first question is, are there any books that you still need to finish for the end of the year? And I have two. So I need to finish my TBR Spin book. I think this is for August, I believe. And that is 8 Men by Richard Wright. This is the first Richard Wright that I've read. He is a modern classic American Black author. He's most famous for Native Son, which I also have that, and I have one of his other books as well. But I decided to start with this short story collection to put in my TBR Spin list. I will leave my TBR Spin playlist down below. I've been participating in that for a long time, but I read about half the stories in this, and then I kind of petered out and stopped. They're not the easiest stories to read necessarily, both because some of them are told in like dialect, and also because the subject matter is quite heavy. But I do want to finish this one by the end of the year, and there's a question coming up later that talks about the TBR Spin again. And then the other book that I need to finish, that I've started and need to finish, is God Dies by the Nile by Nawal El-Saadawi. I read Women at Point Zero by Nawal El-Saadawi a couple years ago, and I really enjoyed it, so I started reading this one for Women in Translation Month in August, but I only got about a quarter of the way through. Again, heavy subject matter. This one is not written in the same kind of sing-songy, repetitive cadence as Woman at Point Zero, but not the easiest to read necessarily. But I would like to read this one by the end of the year, and this was translated from the Arabic by Sharif Hatata. Both of these books I am going to take on vacation with me. I'm going on vacation in just a few days, so I'm hoping that I will get through these. I'm also feeling a little slumpy at this very moment because I am attempting to do a 30 and 30, and it's not going so well, and I don't think I'm going to make it, but these two would definitely help me with that. The next prompt for this tag is, do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? Not really. I don't really read seasonally like that. I'm happy if I read a seasonal book. Like, I'm more particularly like when I don't know a book is going to be seasonal and then it happens to be taking place in the season which we're in. That did happen to me. I'm currently reading Japan in the Passing Lane, which is a nonfiction, but it is a epistolary nonfiction, all in diary entries. I started reading it like 2 days after the diary started or something. So now in the diary we're in January. So it was autumnal as we're transitioning to an autumn, and it is, you know, winter as we're coming closer to winter. So that's like super fun, but I wouldn't call it necessarily like an autumnal or a winter book because it's more about the subject matter and less about the season. And like I said, I don't really read seasonal books in the season, but if I find one, great. The next prompt, is there a new release that you're still waiting for or looking forward to? And no, of course not, because I don't follow new releases. I mean, I'm sure there are new releases that I'll be excited to read, but I don't know what they are. Question number 4 is 3 books before the end of the year. The baby. No? Okay. This is the prompt that I want to talk about, the TBR Spin again, so I am behind. If this is my August book, I have to finish this. That's August, September, October, November, December. So I still have 5 books. So I've only read 7 of the 12 books for the TBR Spin, which means that I'm super, super far behind. I'm not as far behind as I have been, and I was almost caught up for the majority of this year, but now I'm super behind again. So I'm hoping to finish this and move on. Because I vlog all my TBR Spin books, books. Maybe I'll do like a dedicated reading 3 books to catch up so that vlogs don't have to go into the new year. I did that last year, I think, where I read 2 books in the same vlog. I would also like to catch up with the Buzzword cover readathon because I was doing that monthly, and I've talked about this before, but I'm just going to end up doing like a vlog where I see what I've read and what actually fits with all the prompts and then read the remainder of those books. But I think I'd like to do that before the end of the year because I want to do that with the Buzzword Coverthon. I always do it with the regular Buzzword Readathon, and then I also want to do it with the Savage Prompts. So there's like maybe a 3 vlog series in there that I could do, and they would probably be pretty short because usually I hit almost every single one of the prompts and I only need to read a book or 2. Those are more than 3 books, but many books that I need to read by the end of the year or that I want to read by the end of the year. The next prompt is there a book that could still shock you and become a favorite of the year? Yes, absolutely. I know what my top book of the year is, but I don't really know what my like top 10 is gonna look like. I've read a lot of books that I enjoyed, but there's only a couple that like really stand out as a favorite of the year. I have read quite a bit of bad books, so I have my kind of top 10 worst books of the year pretty settled, but my top 10 favorites are still up in the air. So I'm hoping that there is a book that will still shock me and become a favorite of the year. And then the last prompt for this very short tag is, have you started making reading plans for next year yet? And no, not really, because I feel so behind in a lot of ways that I'm still really just thinking about the end of the year. Usually by this time, I'm already thinking about my goals for next year. I'm already thinking about my video planning for next year. I'm already thinking about projects I'm going to do. But I feel like I really need to just wrap up a lot of the projects that I've already started. So like reading wise, I want to do those challenges. I want to do the Buzz Coverathon, the Buzzword Readathon, Savage Prompts. I want to finish the TBR spin. Those are like 4 major reading things that I want to do. I need to work on my birthday video because it is my 5-year booktube birthday coming up. So I have an idea of what I want to do for that, but I need to kind of think about it a little more. That's going to be in like just a few weeks. So if you're watching this and you have any questions that you'd like to ask me about being on booktube for 5 years or about my life or about anything or about my reading, feel free to drop those in the comments below. I really want to finish up my book sale project that I was doing where I was taking you along to all the book sales that I go to this year. I have a huge backlog of videos in general, but I have a backlog of those videos that I need to get out and kind of finish up. And then I have an idea of like, I don't know, I have the beginnings of an idea of what I want to do next year that kind of is relevant to that. And then there's a bunch of videos that I've started throughout the year that I'm going to do like a part 2 to in the next year, but none of those have come out because I'm still working on them, or I put them aside and I haven't been able to finish them. I haven't been able to put them up, or they keep getting pushed because the end of the month rolls around and I still haven't done my reading wrap up, so I need to do that. And then in the middle of the year, I had started doing some bookish resets, and again, I had filmed a bunch of stuff for the second one of that, but I never finished it and I never put it up. So I would love to continue my bookish resets. So really need to concentrate on the end of this year before I start thinking about next year too heavily. Maybe that would be a fun thing to do too. A fun video is to like wrap up the projects, talk about those and what my thoughts are next, and then maybe you can help me like decide what I should be doing next year. I think that could be really fun. Let me know the answer to any of those questions. Let me know if there's any particular content you'd like to see for the next year. If you want to do this tag, it is not a tag that you need to be tagged in, but definitely consider yourself tagged, or if you would like to answer one or any of the questions in the comments below, feel free to do that. I would love to hear what 3 books you need to read by the end of the year, or I would love to hear if you started any books and haven't finished them. If you want to finish them, what are they? So let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!